So I have Jean, gentle poet, as most people might call her, or refer to her as. How are you, first of all, Jean? Because I know you've been through the wars in a lot of ways, not just spiritually and mentally, but more so lately, even physically.
Well, lately, yes, there just before Christmas, I was battling, as I thought, just a respiratory cold, but I got weaker and weaker and weaker and too stubborn for my own good. I kind of told myself I'd be okay, and then I collapsed up in my room and I couldn't move. I couldn't even get off the floor. Literally, I couldn't even crawl. I had to pull myself along with my two elbows just to get near my bed again. And the next day, ambulance came and off to hospital.
Was that something that you felt came out of nowhere?
Um, it was actually directly after the Keep Christ on Christmas event.
Oh, yeah.
It was literally the next day I started getting sick. And I love my statue there of Jesus on my mantelpiece.
Mm-hmm.
And I had words with him. I did. I said, thanks very much. I go all the way to Dublin to promote you, and I'm struck down the day after.
Yeah.
And I just got sicker and sicker and sicker. So I ended up with that really, really bad strain of flu that has been running rampant, and that turned to pneumonia. So I ended up very, very ill indeed.
I spoke to you on through voice notes on a couple of occasions around the Christmas time and stuff.
Yes.
And you could really hear it in you.
Yes. And I very much appreciate, Anthony, that you kept checking in with me, seeing how I was doing, and Lorraine. And you arranged for Lorraine to pick me up and bring me back home when I was discharged. And I really appreciate it. And I know that you are absolutely, and we've knocked heads a couple of times.
That's life.
But I've always said, and I still say it, I know you're absolutely genuine, and I absolutely trust you. You're a good man.
I appreciate that, Jean.
No, you are, and you're doing your best against very, very difficult circumstances, because the entire country is under it's under a barrage of curated news, as in RTE, all of the mainstream media and newspapers. It's highly curated to spin the government side of things. There is no real truth out there via mainstream media. And that's why it's so important that the truth gets out to the ordinary people of Ireland, because they're very, very much in the dark. And they're being kept in the dark because it suits the shall I say, the puppets up in Dáil Éireann, because they're not governing us. They are not governing us. They're doing what they're told to do by the EU, by the WF, by all the globalist interests.
This poses a big question, Jean, and this is why I think it's really important. First of all, I do appreciate you saying that, but you know, I've seen your dedication to the cause over the last few years. I've seen you get up on that train and get to Cork, get to Dublin, go through these rallies when it was physically tough on you. And I know it's been physically tough on my dad, and a couple of you had to pair together a few times.
Yeah.
But I know the sacrifice that it is for you to do that. And I know no matter what circumstances you have, it's not easy to take a stand, and not everyone's going to agree with you around. Not everyone around you is going to agree, and you're going to lose people here and there on the way. And you've been very vocal. You've been behind that mic plenty of times, and you've
Yes.
said your piece, and people resonate with it. I know you did a recent interview on No Risk, No Reward, and there's
Yes.
clips going around of this based granny, says this, that, and the other, but massive. And there's even people saying, "Wouldn't it be great if this was our president of Ireland?" And but like, it's such a shame that me and you were talking before we hit play, and talking about the illusion of democracy.
Oh yeah.
That I think maybe when things didn't matter, or maybe things always were this way, but there's such a distrust to the government now. Have you felt that as someone who, through the years, has it always been that way, or have you found that it's as of late, it's really high?
It's as of late. It's as of in recent years. I mean, you see, to my mind, across the decades, we didn't have the issues that the combination of we only have one government now. They go with different labels. They call themselves Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, oh my head, Sinn Féin. They're the three main ones, but they're actually a uni party because they all have basically the same points of view. They're all promoting the same things, and nobody is standing up for the plain people of Ireland. They're not. They don't care about us. In fact, not only do they not care about us, but they show utter contempt for us, as in the so-called presidential election. That there was no presidential election. They eliminated anyone who had even a small chance. They weren't allowed to run. So we ended up with Catherine Connolly and Heather Humphreys. Heather Humphreys doesn't know one end of a book from the other, I would say. And Catherine Connolly is an out-and-out Marxist. Mm-hmm. So that was it, people. So the one thing that we, as ordinary people, were able to do, and it felt wonderful, was to spoil our votes.
Yes.
And the numbers of people that spoiled their votes was amazing, and it really shook the government. It shook them for a little bit, but then they gathered themselves and proceeded with their agenda to undermine the native people of Ireland. Mm-hmm. And they're undermining us in every possible way.
See, you used an extra word there. You made a distinction. The native people of Ireland. And we've had to add that in, really, because what it used to mean to be Irish has become very different. And this whole virtue signal and morality you see these days, where people are pushing the idea of, look, it's no coincidence, I think, that they push the idea of diversity and inclusion, while at the same time inviting the rest of the world here, giving them houses, giving them social welfare, giving their vape shops and barbers grants to start up, while the council rates go up and there's more and more Irish businesses closing their doors. They're pulling social welfare off people who need it, like carers and mothers and people like that. And even men and women who have worked all their lives for taxation, like paid tax all their life, and the fight they have to get to even get their what's it called, the no, their retirement, their little bit of even their medical card, and they get pulled all the time. In a way, it some of the things they come out with feels like rage bait. Do you know what I mean when I say that? That
Yes.
they're trying to instoke a bit of anger and frustrate. And I don't know if it's because they know that people are getting wider to them and they're trying to create chaos. I'm not sure.
But the chaos is here, Anthony. Anyway, the chaos is here by the way of the policies that have been pushed on us. We don't live in a democracy. If we lived in a democracy, the government of the day would have held a referendum to the Irish people. Do you approve and want mass immigration into Ireland, which may be unlimited, possibly unlimited? Do you want and agree to the so-called asylum system in Ireland, where anyone can rock up to our airports and just say, I'm seeking asylum. No documents, no proof of who they are, no history of what they have left, when they left. Have they a criminal history? Have they a mental health history? Absolutely zero. So all they have to do is issue those magic words, I want asylum. And they go straight to the top of the queue.
But yeah, you raised a good point there. They're allowing a lot of people in, and it's not only this idea. I often heard the stories of in Dublin City or even in New York, they'd have these kind of flats and ghettos and concrete jungles, and on the hills you could see the rich area of town. It's not even though there is, of course, one aspect that they're bringing people in and they're putting them ahead of people who've been sitting on housing lists, not even housing lists, but putting them ahead of just on their priority. They're changing the school curriculums. They're dumbing it down a bit. You have to
very much.
Yeah, and that's not even the sinister side of as we know. But there's also an element of, yeah, look, we're bringing these in, we're sorting them out, we're using your tax money.
Yep.
And what cost 20 grand to put a chalet somewhere is 40 grand, 120, 240 grand, and 440 grand for this.
Yep.
And that's coming out of your tax money. Money laundering is what I think is going on. Money laundering and, I believe, human trafficking. And it's a tough subject to get into, but the problem is there's people presenting and they're getting all the social welfare benefits, but there's people presenting with no ID, so claiming to be children.
Yes.
And going into social care homes with children.
Yeah.
And this is very sinister. And I would say that there is a couple of whistleblowers who are brave enough, and I always appeal to any whistleblowers who are in any industry and they see corruption to come forward. But they're highlighting some horrific things. That these institutes that work for TUSLA are all foreign, they can't verify their credentials. These people are coming into our country, into the care homes and the most vulnerable children, and moving them around to their gain.
And into care of older people.
Yes.
Again, extremely vulnerable. We've had case of I think he was Nigerian. He was African anyway. And how many people did he rape in the care homes during COVID?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I believe it was dozens. It wasn't one or two. We've had that young Ukrainian lad. I think he was 17. He was only here 3 days, and he was absolutely butchered.
Yes.
By Somali.
Posing as a child who turned out to be an
posing
adult
as a child.
in
Yes.
a care centre.
We've had there's so much to cover.
There is so much,
so much to cover.
But it poses a question: if the government know these things are happening, and they know that it's the Irish people aren't only getting stepped over, but they're now the victims of crime, through the most vulnerable, through care homes and through child services, and they're turning a blind eye. What's it say about who these people are, who are in power, and who are allowing these things to happen? Like,
I'll answer that question. The people who are in power, be it the proxy government or whatever, but they are going in and they're being paid handsome salaries in the Dáil, handsome expense accounts. They don't know what it is to suffer. None of them that have a seat in the Dáil, they don't know what suffering is. The calibre of person who is so-called representing the Irish people are the same people that narrowly missed passing a bill in the last couple of weeks to make abortion legal up to and including birth.
is that not,
That,
first of all, satanic? Second of all, is that not human, is that not not organ donation, but organ harvesting? Is that not, like, how do people sit collectively and all agree with each other on the most horrific of things? It feels like to me that the governments have been captured by a spirit of evil, is the only thing I can think of.
it is absolutely evil. There is no other way to put it. And people might not like that definition. And they might like to say, oh, that's just pie in the sky. Oh, it's because they're Christian. I'm a Christian. You're a Christian, Anthony. And, chalk it down to, that we're eccentrics. There is nothing eccentric about calling the murder of innocent babies in the womb as anything but evil. And you see, what's been going on for a number of years is a step-by-step dehumanizing human life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you dehumanize a human being, then anything goes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything goes. And it's a program of literally dehumanize the baby in the womb, dehumanize the elderly.
The worth of human life.
Dehumanize the worth of human life. Give no value to it whatsoever. Therefore, if it has no value, then you can do what you like with it. And people have gone along with it. I mean, the abortion law that was brought in on Savida, I can't pronounce her second name. This woman died. This was the argument because abortion wasn't available to her. Now, that was the peg they all hung their coats on, the pro-abortionists. And as I said, my body, my choice. But here's the thing, it's not their body. Because every single human being has their own DNA. That baby in the womb, right from the get-go, has its own DNA sequence. It's a completely unique human being. It has its own fingerprints, completely unique to that baby. No one else in the world, inside the womb or outside the womb, will have the DNA of that baby or will have the fingerprints of that baby. They are their own entity. They are their own human being, and they have been reduced by pro-lifers, pro-abortionists to, oh, it's just a clump of cells.
Yeah.
And this is all part of the programming: devalue, dehumanize, devalue, dehumanize, depopulate,
control. Like I remember when this vote came up, and I worked with a fella, and he says he was an atheist, and he knew I was a Christian. He said, "I suppose you're going to vote to against this proposal." I said, "I will, but let's take aside the fact that me and you are Christians here, because that was the assumption. Because I was a Christian, I was going to vote against it. But what I couldn't see the sense is, biologically, scientifically, human life begins at conception.
Yep.
Anything after that, if it's deliberately done, is killing a human life.
Yep.
And if you pass a law on the minority cases, then you open a floodgate. And what have we seen now? They reckon there's more people who die inside the womb that are born in the last year or two. It's again, for the third year running, the lead cause of death. And that sickens me to my core. That scares me. Even saying it shocks me. Because I put a post up on this yesterday. I feel an evil behind that. But there's, and people say, but people voted on that. People voted on that because they are susceptible to the propaganda.
It was huge propaganda.
And who funded it?
George Soros.
And so, can people not add this up as well? You have to stop trusting on big institutions and big media. Like, if we're talking about COVID, if we're talking about abortion, if we're talking about all these things, they suit a certain agenda. Eugenics, these Bill Gates characters who tell you to use your bag for life as they fly around the world in their private jets. Who pumped a load of money into Pfizer 6 months before COVID was announced, a pandemic, who are buying up all the farmland and all umbrella companies for food and drink, who are trying to destroy the farmers' livelihoods by these emissions. They want to control every aspect of our lives, but they're also these anti-humanists.
Yes, and it is anti-human.
Who talk about de-escalating or depopulating the world.
Well, you see, they escalate and they escalate. And they brought in the abortion law after they whipped up a frenzy. And it was a frenzy. This woman shouldn't have died, and now, there's going to be thousands of women losing their lives and they whipped it up and whipped it up. And they, in Ireland in 2024, 10,800 babies were killed in the womb. 10,800.
10,000.
Yeah. And that's, I looked up the figures this morning. And since 2019 to 2024, nearly 50,000 babies have been killed in Ireland.
And I remember Varadkar saying, Ireland needs to have more abortions. And I couldn't believe, the support for such a statement. Like, we live in Catholic Ireland, as it used to be called, to me, and I know you're going to agree probably, that this isn't the last 5 years of propaganda, that this is what they used to call the Enlightenment in the 1920s, where there started being pushed back. Christopher Hitchens, well, he was much later, but these ideas of atheism, and Enlightenment, and I think it started building from there. And the last 20 years, they tried to make atheism cool.
Yes.
They tried to make that, you're too intelligent to believe in God. Look what the Catholic Church have done. You know, and there's a lot of, I think, the older generation who lost their faith over certain things that happened in Ireland that men might have done, the actions of men, let's say. And they threw out maybe the baby with the bathwater because of that, where we've come to a stage where we've lost morality in society.
There's no moral compass. There isn't. But if you think that the mantra, should we say, of Satan is more or less do what thou wilt. Do what thou wilt. And that's what people are doing. There is no moral compass. And when you get people who are supposed to be acting to the benefit of the people who elect them, act to the benefit of the people, and let's not forget, who are paying their salaries, who are paying for their expense accounts and everything that they enjoy. When you are reduced to a group of people, men and women in Dáil Éireann, who found it perfectly okay to vote yes to proceed a bill to kill babies in the womb up to and including 9 months. That is where our society is right now. And that is part of do what thou wilt. It's only a fetus. It doesn't matter. It can't survive outside the womb. Well, I would say to those people, you take a full-term baby that has just been born into any maternity hospital in the country and leave that baby in a crib, right? This has nothing to do with abortion now. Just leave that baby in the crib. Will that baby survive without intervention? Someone to feed it, someone to clothe it, someone to change it, someone to see to its basic needs. And it's outside the womb, it's full term, and it's a planned baby. Will that baby survive without intervention from the adults that brought it into the world? It won't.
No.
It'll die of starvation. Or it'll die of
cold or anything. Yeah.
Or anything. That baby will need intervention by its parents or, someone that loves it until it reaches young adulthood. So there goes that argument. It's okay to kill the baby in the womb because it won't survive outside the womb without intervention.
At 9 months, this is the difference between being on different side of skin. This is a fully formed baby, and it's not even that we're advocating for anything before that, because I think, like, when it comes to abortion, like the scenarios where a doctor runs in and said this is a medical emergency, there's going to be a death of the mother, we don't know what, we're going to take this risk. I'm completely understanding where there's medical emergencies. But this whole sleep around culture in the colleges, this whole OnlyFans culture online, Instagram, TikTok of young people selling themselves, media, music videos, TV, this whole, sexualization of people, that it's okay to sleep around with anyone and be promiscuous, and people are interchangeable, and looks like we have the sound guy on check here. But I think this is
sorry, my cat is getting in on the act. Oscar Wilde.
Wants to be a star.
Sorry.
Maybe he has an opinion. No. I think that the whole normalization of sleep around culture and morality. We get back to this morality question again. And something dawned on me as well that, when you're talking about, if you dehumanize things, it allows for all these things to roll in. There's Dostoevsky quote, without God, anything is permissible.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
The idea of God is gone.
Yeah.
We'll take down the cross off the wall in these schools, but we'll put up something else.
Yeah.
We'll put up this multicolored flag.
Yeah.
No other flags. Not an Irish flag, not a book club flag, nothing else. Let's put this up. That's a religion. That's a man-made religion that, on the surface, people think it's great and it's morally great to push this idea that we're tolerant to everything, and but on the other side of it, on a deeper dig into it, there are so many people, children, who are being targeted with this, and they're getting pumped with all types of chemicals. They're going out to these clinics. They're having these sex changes. There's a massive regret rate. Suicides. There's places. One of the first ones in the UK that got set up had to shut down after 6 months because of all the claims against it. You hear all these whistleblowers coming forward saying,
So the Tavistock Clinic.
Was it? Yeah, I can't remember
think
what it was.
so.
Like this, when you have the Minister of Education in Ireland and her husband working for the company that sells these puberty blocking medicine, you have to sit back and think, sorry, is this a coincidence that all these things are happening?
Do you know what I found out last week? The puberty blockers that are being used to progress transgenderism, which is chemical castration for a start. Secondly, all this transgender thing on children is a mass experimentation on children. They're experimenting on children. They don't know in 15, 20, 30 years what the effects are going to be of all of this butchering of bodies, healthy bodies, chemicals pumped into them, etc. But what I found out last week was that the puberty blockers are not licensed to be used as trans treatments. Therefore, the companies that produce them cannot be sued if things go wrong.
Loopholes, huh?
Yeah.
Looking after one another inside the
they're not licensed
industry.
as treatment for trans. So the drug companies have covered themselves. What they are licensed for is in a limited number of cases, sometimes apparently, puberty can kind of go off the charts or go wild or not medically behave in the way that the normal body's chemistry and hormones, etc., would work. So in those cases, those puberty blockers are used to treat the puberty process that has gone out of kilter.
Yes.
So there's specifically licensed for that. But to treat a boy who wants to become a girl, they're not licensed, and if things go wrong, there is no comeback.
Yeah. So these aren't supplying something that's medically tested and graded.
Correct.
They are putting the agenda first.
It's an experiment.
Yeah.
An experiment.
And I would go as far as to say, and I know, listen, there's going to be a lot of people who listen to us who know what we're talking about, but there's going to be a lot of people who don't.
Who don't.
And unfortunately, it's probably going to be the majority of people who are still finding out things here and there. Like, people used to get so upset about certain atrocities over over the years. I think there's so many now. People are desensitized to it.
Yeah.
Like you listen to, like the grooming gangs in England. That they, that these were the grooming gangs in England. This idea, and people were shocked about it for a week, and then it was over, and no one wanted to do anything about it. I think that this is far more sinister than most people think. That there's a study lately that testosterone has dropped in men by 80% over the last 20 years. I think these people have all gotten together. Not that I think, I see this. It's the food chain. It's what we're eating. It's what we're listening to. It's what we're watching. It's all these things. Like, you can see the illnesses from all this. It's big pharma. It's the chemicals. It's everywhere we go. And I think that was done on purpose so that people couldn't stand up and resist.
It's eugenics.
Yes.
Right? Because if you can convince a young boy that he was born in the wrong body, and that the next step for his happiness is to get chemically castrated and have his body butchered to create the opposite sex with his body, well, he's not going to be able to procreate.
No.
Okay? If you can convince a young girl that she's born in the wrong body and she goes and has all the horrific surgeries to give her a penis and take away her reproductive organs and that, she's not going to be able to procreate. So it's a win-win for the people who want population degrowth.
Yeah.
If you can convince a society that babies in the womb have no value, that they're only a clump of cells, and therefore they're an inconvenience, and that it's a form of contraception, because I did read also that of the 48,000 babies that were killed in Ireland last year, only a handful were for extreme medical reasons. Yeah. Only a handful.
Yeah.
The rest were just don't want it.
By the millions.
Don't want it.
Not just in Ireland, but across.
And across the world.
Yeah.
And across the world.
But I think it is an attack on the family from all aspects, and about bloodlines going forward. It's about people. If you convince the world it's overpopulated, like Bill Gates said this in his TED Talk, we can reduce that by vaccinations. But it's not only that. I even think we're getting back to the propaganda that followed the push of the abortion vote. Feminism, in its inception of equal rights, was a good idea for respect towards people in society. What the push was in the militant side of it was that men and women are clogging at each other. Who's going to make more money is the bread maker. Two people go out and work. Well, when two people go out and work, there is no family life. They get taxation off both people.
Correct.
And childcare goes up and up in price. Yeah. So does inflation of houses and cars. So all of a sudden, now both people have to work.
Yeah.
And now no one has time for kids. And we're down to one child per household as it was 30 years ago was what? My father comes from one of 10 siblings. Yeah. And that was old Ireland, and there's much more to that. So now we're at a stage where the idea was that, because this is what I heard, we're taking back our power from men of our own bodies. That's the argument I heard in the office for abortion when people were voting, is that we've been beaten down. This is from young women. We've been beaten down by men so much that we have the choice now. We don't have to listen to men in this, that, and the other. And it dawned on me that this feminism, although although it's great to have, people should have mutual respect for each other, the aspect of what they were pushing was, why do women and men not make the same money? Women should be at the top of these institutes. But if men and women are both out there working at all these jobs, and the price of life is going up and up, then we turn around and there's no way back. There's no affordable way back to a family life. And this is one of the reasons with Ireland First at the time, I put forward the affordable family bill, where the state should be paying, like Hungary does. A lot of these other countries are starting to get their act together with these things and saying that we'll give you don't pay tax on the family wagon if you have more than certain kids.
It is Hungary, I think.
Yeah, Hungary.
They're doing amazing things.
And we should be modelling our policies off them.
Yes.
And this is a big thing. But I this is my only hope for politics, is that if people do get in, look at Poland even, and do break the system a bit, that you could turn, the pendulum would swing the other way, if you can crack it. If you can get the message across that, listen, I'm not against certain people in society, but I see evil institutions manipulating us against each other for their will.
There's so many aspects to it all, Anthony. You know, we have heard a wonderful man say during the week on a program I was watching, John Lennox.
Yes, great professor.
Yeah. He said what it comes down to is put God first. If you put God first, everything else will follow. Because God gave, in the 10 Commandments, it's a blueprint for living and how to live and how to thrive under those commandments. It's a blueprint for social order in the best possible way. Where we are living in Ireland in 2026 under soft communism.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason, like Poland and Hungary and Romania have strong values and strong societies, is they're all former communist countries.
Mm. So they saw it coming.
Or the Eastern Bloc countries, they've lived under communism. They've lived under it. They've suffered under it.
Mm.
And that's why they are against what is happening under the WEF, under the EU. I mean, the EU as a body who make 70% of our laws, who are telling us how to live, what we can do, what we can't do, what's best for the planet, what's best for society, what's best for education. They're laying down all these laws. For a start, we didn't vote for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as a bloc, people would say, oh, but we voted for our European member in Ireland to represent us in. As a bloc, Ireland has about 1% of the vote. We're nothing. We're a nobody there. Mm-hmm. It's a very nice salary for anyone in Ireland who gets a job sent off to represent us in the EU.
Well,
it's a cushy job.
They're not sending me and you there anyway, that's for sure.
No, but as a body, as a bloc, the EU, who are telling us all these things, what we can do, what we can't do, affecting our democratic rights, they do not mention God anywhere. in there as a body.
Yes.
They don't recognize God. And that has what has been pushed into Ireland. They've eliminated God in Irish society. They've made it into something to be either ridiculed or hated or both.
Mm-hmm.
And by eliminating God, the Christian God, who knew what society needed to function healthily and to thrive healthily, by eliminating him, what has replaced it? It has been replaced by Marxism,
Anti-humanism,
and by a totally warped educational system. There is no true education anymore in Ireland. When I sent my children to school in the 70s and 80s, they were learning. They actually were learning subjects and topics. When children go to colleges now and universities and to junior and secondary schools, they are being programmed to ideologies such as we're all global citizens. Well, here's my view on that. If you are a global citizen, you're a citizen of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You're not an Irish citizen anymore. You've no identity. And if you take away people's identity, they have nothing to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
Because through our history, because we had a strong identity, we fought. We fought for our freedom. We fought against tyranny. We fought against invasions. But they've been stripping our identity layer by layer by layer. And their biggest target is the junior schools now and the secondary schools. You're global citizens. You're born in the wrong body. All religions are the same.
Everything you know of is wrong. We're resetting altogether.
Yeah.
The Great Reset.
Everything that is truth is being taught is a lie. And everything that is a lie, they're being taught as truth.
Yes. It's backwards. Like the idea that these guys in the high seats in Big Pharma are there because they care about you and your ailment, and they're not just the richest billionaires in the world who might have something more sinister at hand. Like you to bring it back, we were talking about John Lennox. He said, "Put God first." There's also, and the Ten Commandments being the Old Testament, there's also New Testament. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and these things will be given to you.
Yeah.
And I think this is, this is the interception of morality again, where we go back to these people seem to, first of all, there's nobody in Ireland shaping Ireland. Ireland has been given away to, we call it the European Union or the World Economic Forum or the UN, but these global elitists, as they call themselves, who meet up in Davos or wherever they go, and have a plan for humanity. Their plan for humanity. Yeah. It's not what you're taught historically. It's not the lessons from the flood. Like I think wisdom has been lost in our culture. I think that book is the book of wisdom. It's when I was talking about that, what I'm pointing at is the Holy Bible here.
Yes.
When you look at the stories of Moses leading his people out of tyranny, he has to go against his own brother to do it. I think a lot of people feel like that now. When you think about Jesus and his ministry, be it only 3 years, his brother himself was against him, who became a believer after the fact. And we talk about this as well, the stand you make in Ireland now. There you say Christ is King. People say, oh no, you're not one of those.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
One of those? Really? Like
Yeah.
who believe in a
Yeah.
moral society? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
are these the... You're not one of those people who pray silently outside abortion centres. Oh, God forbid, because these people go to jail now in England. Like, what
In a
exactly...
so-called free society, you
Yeah.
can't even pray silently in the street.
So what, who do they think that these people are answering to? Do they think these people are putting their shirts on in the morning, who work for RTE and all this kind of thing, and are representing the Irish people? They know they're not. To me, they're starting, you're right, at the school level, indoctrination centres.
Yeah.
And I think this is why, to touch on the late Charlie Kirk, why I think he was deemed as a bit of a threat, because I think he was going there, pushing the Christian message. They were trying to buy him. He was saying no, and once he said no,
yeah, they eliminated him.
Yeah, and to me, he was collateral damage. He got in the way all of a sudden and was becoming powerful and was going to the indoctrination
camps. He was actually reaching the young people.
With sense, with logic. He wasn't raring up to them. He wasn't getting heated debates. He wasn't using profanity.
Yeah.
But he was reaching them at the indoctrination centres themselves.
Yes.
And they were like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
When Charlie got shot, there was a strange air, a strange mood throughout, as far as I could see, the Christian community as a whole, worldwide, that we lost one of our soldiers in a way.
Yeah.
That did evil win that day. But I do believe there was a mass resurge into the Catholic Church straight afterwards. And there was, that day, they say a lot of Charlie Kirks were born. I reached out to Turning Point when it fought the week after, and I said, we want to build a Turning Point era. Can you help us do this? Can you even sanction the artwork for it? Mm-hmm. And we don't need your financial support, we can do it ourselves. And their answer was, there's already a Turning Point UK. Now, I know a lot of questions have been raised about Turning Point and since then, and we're not going to get into that, but I suppose this is why it became Gael Force Media and not that. But I think there is a call for people to turn up outside Irish colleges and schools.
Very much so.
And challenge the narrative in a sensible way on the ground. And I think that might yet come.
Yeah. It's needed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are straight out teaching children a lie. Because biologically, there are only two sexes, male and female. And no matter what you chop off or what you sew on, you cannot change a boy into a girl or a girl into a boy. And the added tragedy is that young people go through extreme confusion during puberty. And always have done.
Yes.
Because of the hormones exploding. Mm-hmm. So it's already a confusing time for them.
Dysphoria, they reckon 90% of children go through it naturally anyway.
Yeah.
And naturally come out of it.
And naturally come out of it. I mean, there was talk about social contagion. I mean, this is social contagion magnified 1,000-fold because it is aided and abetted and promoted by sinister forces. Anything that is promoting chopping young girls' breasts off and chemically castrating young men whose penises, by the way, will never grow to full maturity. They're literally stunted at where they started the chemicals, right? Anyone who promotes that and encourages it are absolutely without any morality and without any conscience. Now take our country is in such dire straits that they're literally crucifying Enoch Burke for his views and because he wouldn't play along. So what they've done with him and what they continue to do with him is they're sending a message out to Irish teachers. If you step out of line, if you go against our promotion of transgenderism in your school or schools, this is what we'll do to you.
Making an example of him.
Yeah. So this is in a so-called free state. This is in a so-called, so-called democracy. It's only a democracy when they decide, it's a democracy they decide on. It has nothing to do with freedom of speech or freedom of actions or freedom of conscience, because everybody should be allowed to follow their conscience. And the fact that they have done this to him and punished him so severely shows you where they're at as a government and as a judicial system. They're tyrants, they're despots, and they are so entrenched. That is why they are arrogant at this stage. They see themselves as continuing. Nobody can rattle their boat, because if you try, they're going to stamp down on you.
Yes.
So that is,
I've seen this. Like the scary thing is the propaganda works for so many.
Yeah.
I worked in a place while everything was kicking off with Enoch Burke, and everyone in there, bar me, thought, I can't believe him, and this, that, and the other, and that was scary. I think COVID landed globally at a time when they finally fine-tweaked propaganda, that they had such a compliance rate. Right, we know what we're doing with marketing here. We know what people are responding to. We have these AI algorithms now. We know what's going to work. And it wasn't just COVID. They released everything. The LGBT kids propaganda. It was the mass immigration. It was COVID. Everything came in full wave.
Yeah.
And a lot of us stood back and said, well, they're reducing population so they can control it under some kind of form of social credit system. Most likely what they have in China.
Yeah.
And people, that was conspiracy. I said, okay, but it's in China. And now it's in the UK.
Yeah.
And I said, they're going to take cash away, digital ID, they control, they take out your stove, they make you less sufficient.
15-minute cities.
And I said to people, people said to me, this is nonsense. I said, I said this 3 years ago. Carlow, which is a very close town to me, is a 10-minute town. It has the council have listed that on their website, and people still say no. So they've even gone so far that we've given you a narrative, and no matter what comes out now, you're going to make this like your belief system. And that's what COVID was like, if you recall. People couldn't talk about it. It was a belief system.
Yeah.
The unvaccinated. And I remember standing in the street and looking across the road and seeing someone showing their papers to get into a restaurant. And I said, something's wrong here. People are complying, and they're all too proud to post online, I got mine, I did the right thing for society. And they are able to manipulate our belief systems to an extent where, right, we have the atheism in, we have the feminism in, we have this idea of enlightenment and ye are gods, and we're just promoting ye. Like I seen when I started speaking out, a massive reaction that I didn't expect. So let's say 2024 I entered politics, and kind of got my feet on the ground and the grips of what was going on. Seeing that people were operating in a very conventional box of politics and saying, we should be calling these people out. Let's make a list of the profiteers the failed Tory na hair and the traitors of Ireland. Let's make a list of that, and let's, we can't only be talking immigration here. There's a lot of things going wrong. Let's introduce this. That upset a lot of people. 2025, every month I was in the papers as
That's
an
right,
extremist, vigilante, Christian.
You were attacked on
extremist.
every level. Yeah.
And I said to myself that something's not. They're afraid of something.
Yeah, because you were doing something true. You were speaking truth.
So if
Truth to power.
if they need to defame me that much, then they mustn't have all the reins in their hand fully. There must be an opening. And by attacking me, they inspired me to find that opening.
Yes.
And this is part of the reason me and you are sitting back down now, the first episode in a few years of this, because I think if you can change enough minds and get the truth out there, speak the truth no matter what. My last lines in Cork, no matter what people think is, speak the truth. It's all that matters.
Yeah.
With a capital T. I think that's what Charlie was doing.
Absolutely. And that's why they killed him. Because he's the truth. Now, all this, I'm speaking my truth, and I'm speaking, all these celebrities, I'm speaking my truth. The truth is the truth. Not your truth, my truth. And the Bible is the foundation of it.
The way, the life, and the truth.
Yeah. And the powers that be fear the truth more than anything. That's why they clamped down on the presidential election. And they called it an election. What it was, they chose who would be inaugurated, not elected. They're utterly and totally corrupt. But Anthony, Micheál Martin, Simon the T-Boy Harris, and all the others, all of them, in Dáil Éireann, and people who support them, they have all forgotten or dismissed the fact that one day they will stand in front of the God that they denied.
And I think
and Christ said, "He who denies me on earth, I will deny in heaven." They're so caught up in their own importance, in their own ego, in all the perks that come with being a Taoiseach or being the whatever, the TD, the commissioner. They're so gorged in all of this gratification that they get from their prospective political roles or their roles in the system that collaborates with all of these lies and all of this evil. They are so caught up in all of it that they have pushed aside any hint of a conscience that they might have. But like all of us, they will die at some point, and they will stand before God, and they will meet their reward for what they have done and what they are doing. And especially, I would say, in these times, especially those in education. Because our Lord said, if you harm one child, one hair of their heads, better that you have a millstone put round your neck and thrown into the sea. And they are harming every single child that they are indoctrinating into the trans cult.
Yeah.
So everything, it is, we are under a wave of spiritual darkness, like I would say, like never before.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely in Ireland. Have we been through dark times? Yes, we have. And it's all the more sad because we had to fight so hard and for so long for who we are as a race of people. There's a word now that you're not allowed to use.
Mm-hmm.
The Irish race.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this to anybody. I am a member of the Irish race, going back thousands of years. And I have a right to exist as a member of my race. And my race happens to be white European. And I don't apologize for that. It's a fact of life. I'm white European. Yet my country is being turned into a melting pot. And we are being replaced by the sheer power of numbers. Because we're killing our own children before they can even be born. And yet, so the government are saying on one hand, oh, we haven't got enough people having babies. So we have to bring in all these foreigners because we don't have enough Irish people.
Who aren't having abortions, who are getting paid per child.
Can you say that again, Anthony?
Yeah. So I think they propagated propaganda to white Europeans, or the white race, white Christians, and we're having the abortions. But it's not put there. The people coming into this country are getting paid per child. So they're getting incentivized to repopulate Ireland.
And the people coming into this country, and let's say the Muslims, they're on average, by their own admission, they have 4, 5, 6 children. We have 1 point something. So they're promoting killing Irish babies, the Irish government, and replacing them with foreign babies.
Mm-hmm.
And just the figures alone, any mathematician can sit down and work it out, that the people coming in at such a rate that eventually they will become the majority.
Of course.
That is a fact of life.
And they've not only done it on that scale, but you look at to the youth in terms of, when I say so we're talking about babies and abortion there, but you look another age demographic up where you have young adults coming out of secondary school going into college. So one, they're leaving the country because they can't afford college.
Yes.
They can't afford the car to get them there.
Yeah.
But you have...
And they can't find accommodation.
They can't find accommodation. Why? Because we brought in so many Ukrainian people that they're taking up all the accommodation for free from an ARP system. Mm-hmm. They have travel for free and they have college for free.
Yeah.
And you can't say, oh, maybe they can drive back and forth. Well, first of all, the price of insurance is crippling. Secondly, they have to have a fully licensed driver with them who has to work as well because you've put inflation up so high. So they're all like, oh, I'm leaving the country. I'm going to Australia. There's nothing here for me. Like, a lot of the people say, you're standing up because you just had a great excuse to be racist. Well, sorry, no. I want a safe and affordable future for my kids.
Yeah.
And I want them to be able to have an opportunity of a family and an affordable life, the basics that we're used to.
And the government are promoting, I mean, they're actively going to India and Africa.
Yes.
Actively. And they have all these schemes working to bring Indians and Africans to Ireland to work. And definitely the Indians that are coming are in huge numbers. Many are in the housing market buying houses and outbidding Irish buyers, the ones that can scrape a deposit for a house together. It's all, it's
They have it all, every side of it.
everything.
Yeah.
It's pushed down the Irish people. Those that are still in Ireland, suppress them, oppress them. And the other prong of that is push them out of Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Push the youth out so they will never get married in Ireland. They will never buy a home in Ireland.
Yeah.
And they will never have Irish children.
But the problem is, so many people in Ireland won't down their tools and say, stop. We can see what's happening.
Yeah.
My father got sick. He took a heart attack the week of the general election last year. And I was with him almost every day, I would say, in James Hospital. And I met him, and he was fine. He was talking, he was walking around. He wanted to leave, he wanted to go home. He went in for a procedure that went wrong. And since that, he's not been well. And the night the procedure didn't go well, a young Indian nurse came to his bedside with a pen and kitchen towel. And she said to him, "Can I ask you how many people you have in your family?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "All this stuff is already taken in, you know." She goes, "And where do you live? And is there anyone else living there? And how many rooms has the house? Is there anything left to pay on the house?"
What?
And my father said, "Sorry, excuse me, why are you taking these details?"
Yeah.
And there was this whole idea, you know, no, look, doesn't matter if he says, "I've given all my official details in daylight to the doctors and nurses." He questioned someone about it the next day, and they said, "I don't know what he was talking about." He, behind that curtain, heard groups of Indian male nurses and female nurses going around who were getting paid to be here and were told that they have to lay low, not be booking into fancy hotels, not to be buying fancy cars. That there was a whole incentivized system. Now, I'm saying this as a story of my father relaying this. And I've had people come to me, you know, people would say to you, "Oh, we get rid of all the people. There are doctors and nurses." I said, "Hold on a second. A few years ago, there was a big investigation into the credentials of these people and the people coming here. And only last month, they found 10,000 fraudulent forms of these doctors. The only country in Europe where if you're stricken off the record, you can work is Ireland as a doctor. So if you lose your license in Germany, you can't go to France, you can't go to Spain, but you can come to Ireland. And malpractice is one of the leading causes of deaths in the last few years in this country. And people are saying, "Oh, there are doctors and nurses." Hold on a second. I'm not saying every single one of them, but I'm saying that there's a massive scam going on in this country.
Yeah.
Like, can you go to a petrol station now and see an Irish worker?
No.
Can you go to a barber shop? Can you go to a takeaway? Because they also get incentivized Islamic financing.
Yes.
You can look this up on revenue.ie.
They don't have to pay the interest rates.
Halal mortgages.
Yeah.
You know, all these things, they're not paying tax because, we really need to look at the ethos that these ideologies push. The marrying of young women.
Yes.
Not young women. The marrying of children. The normalization of that.
Yeah.
Like, when I look at the trafficking going on with these iPass centres and everything that's come out in the last few years, sure, this suits a narrative. This LGBT and sexualizing children and showing them these pornographic images in their textbooks suits a narrative.
Yes.
And I think the narrative it goes against is morality.
Yeah.
Looking after decent human life, looking after our kids. And in fact, that quote, that verse you were talking about earlier on, it even goes as far, if you cause one of these young, small, little ones to stumble, which means they just leave them go about their natural life. and you're stopping them pumping chemicals and making parents think that they're great and moral and virtuous by pushing their kids. Like my son's school, there's primary school. There's kids who think that they're the opposite sex. They haven't hit puberty yet.
Yeah.
That's teachers
Yeah.
and parents.
Yeah.
And that's not right. And that needs to be stopped.
And you see, the parents are going along with it. I mean, it's insanity. Literally, it's insanity. And that's what, as they say, knowledge is power.
Mm.
Knowledge is, it comes down to that. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And not enough people are receiving knowledge. As I said, it's curated. It's curated in the government's favour.
Mm.
And there's a desperate need to get out there and hold, like town halls, like they do in America.
Yeah.
Town halls. Where
bring the message to the people.
Yeah. Bring the message to the people. Because it's the only way that you'll really start to break down the vice-like grip that the government and government institutions have upon our country and have upon our people.
Despite of everything that you've seen over the last few years, what gives you hope for our future? Your faith.
Faith. Because come what may, Christ is the final arbiter of everything. And he is literally the way, the truth, and the life. And we have to hold on to that and follow his example and follow his teaching. Like in 3 years, he gave us everything we need.
Mm-hmm.
And never before or since has any, we'll call them religious leaders, gone to their death for their people.
Mm.
And God humbled himself to be born into humanity for all its vileness and rottenness and corruption, and he chose to come down and he chose to live the way he did, simply, humbly, and truthfully. And he took death on the cross, which was in the times of the Romans, was the death that was singled out for criminals and slaves. And it was horrific, like the physical process of his punishment, the flogging, and his being nailed to the cross was about the most painful death anyone could experience, let alone the psychological effect of it.
Mm-hmm.
He was reviled, he was rejected, he was humiliated, and he died in agony. And we say, well, why did he do that? One word, love. That's how much he loved us. But he rose again. And there's the hope. And that is everything. And people have scoffed at him and scoffed at that and scoffed at us who believe that. But we could do another program, Anthony, on the Shroud of Turin.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a program in itself.
Yeah.
And experts from all over the world, from all sorts of disciplines, from forensic anthropology to NASA scientists, etc., have studied the shroud, and it's fascinating.
Most of them have come away
And
as believers.
yeah, and one nuclear scientist, after studying this, and this is in recent years now, he came away and he said there is only one explanation for that, how that image got on that piece of linen. He said it was a new supernatural event. And he was just a scientist. He was of no particular faith or any faith. And the Catholic Church have hedged its bets on that, where they should be shouting it from the mountaintops.
Yes.
And they should be educating people into the enormity of this piece of linen, the image on it, and the whole miraculous story that is imprinted into that cloth. Because if the Catholic Church promoted it and exposed all of these findings as a call it a blitz of information, there would be so many more people.
Why don't they do that?
Well, another tack I'm on. I have lots of interest, and I have a couple of books there written by Malachi Martin. And I don't know, are you familiar?
No.
Yeah. Malachi Martin was Irish, born in Kerry, became a priest, a brilliant scholar, specializing in language of the Bible and several other fields. And he ended up working in the Vatican as a private secretary to one of the leading cardinals there, and he was much lauded and much sought after for his expertise within the Vatican, etc. But anyway, long story short, Malachi Martin ended up writing and doing quite a number of books. One of his positions was that the Catholic Church was infiltrated by the Freemasons. And he goes into it in great depth. And he has a book there, Jesuits, who, that's a whole other thing, what's behind them.
Yeah.
And so I only got those recently.
And people find it tough. It's one of these things as well that people hold dear to them. But the likes of the Pope kissing the Rockefeller ring, you know, I would say, when people ask my faith, I'm a Christian, and I believe every word of that, and the Christian creeds, and I think there's a lot of great priests in the world, but I do think as a global organization, sometimes you wonder, are they bringing us away from the real message?
Yes, they are, and they have. And what's missing in the Catholic Church these days is Christ.
Yes.
That's who's missing. And
he is the church.
Christ is the church. And the church have remained quiet about most of the things we're talking about. In fact, not only quiet, but they've gone the other way. Like Pope Francis was an out and out globalist. His background, from Southern America, the people he was trained by in that were self-proclaimed Marxists, and the whole Marxist ideology, and that's what he followed. And I don't know what to. I mean, he was a tyrant. He had an onslaught of attacks against, say, for example, the traditional Latin Mass, which has been the same Mass for 1,500 years. And for anyone like who, loves the Mass, believes in it, and I mean believes in it, as a reenactment, not a reenactment of a supper, which it has become, the table, and not the high altar anymore, and the beautiful statues, and the tabernacle front and center, where the presence of Christ is in the host within the tabernacle. He's been shoved over to a side altar. The modern church is stripped of rails, so you don't kneel to God anymore. The host in the hands instead of on the tongue. They Protestantized the Catholic churches. It became more like the Protestants. Not that I have anything against Protestants, but I'm just saying, as a faith, the Catholic Church stripped away their layer by layer and brought in things that didn't enhance the Mass. It devalued it. So it became like celebrating a supper, like when our Lord had his supper with the apostles. But what they've left out is as I just spoke about, the sacrifice that Christ made on the cross. That's where the Latin Mass is totally focused. It's a reenactment of the sacrifice of Christ on the cross, where the modern Mass, like post Vatican II, is softened into let's commemorate the supper, the Last Supper. There's a big difference between commemorating a supper and commemorating God allowing himself to be nailed in agony to a cross out of love for his people, and to pay the debt of sin which was upon all mankind. So that's and to give all mankind who would follow him the gift of eternal life. So that could spin off now into stories of the occult.
Yeah, well, I think
demonology.
I think all these things are relevant in the tyrannical governance of Ireland right now.
Yeah.
And the use of social media, AI systems, virtual communities as opposed to real ones, the destruction and defaming of anyone who puts that idea forward. So in light of that, I mean, saying that, because we're not just talking about a political realm here, and the Bible does say that you don't fight against flesh and blood. It's dominions.
Yeah.
It's spiritual warfare.
I
think a lot of us recognise that.
It is.
That there's different level of, let me me call this nationalism for the sake of simplification. There is a layer of nationalism, and people are against a tyrannical government by the latest referendums coming in. And there is some people who delve into it and put their life into that and try and they assume it's identity, and they go to the rallies, they join a party, they know the inner workings, and it gets a lot more complicated inside, and you don't know who to trust, and is a division pitted their course, and you're trying to, it's a lot more complicated than the people who are supporting them. And people supporting them, and underneath all of that layer is the spiritual element that we discussed that underpins why this is all here in the first place, that is creating chaos for its own gain. And we get up to this level, and we get to this level, and we can see that this is all over. This is within all of this. And if you break a bit of ground in any way, shape, or form, you'll be attacked. And I've no disillusionment to think that this isn't evil attacking. I know
I agree.
the entities that are behind a lot of these things, and I've seen it in people's eyes, and I recognise it. But in light of everything we discussed, as someone who has seen Ireland through the generations, what advice would you give to the likes of the leaders of the movement, let's say that, right? Or guidance and direction I'm looking at, that you could see what they should be focused on?
Well, for the nationalists, I mean, it has been said by many people, including yourself, but I would reiterate: anybody who calls themselves a nationalist has to be willing and actively seek to come together. Because, what's to say, a house divided will never stand. And that's the biggest thing the government have going for them. They love seeing all this division.
Yes.
They love seeing one group attacking another group, and one undermining this one and that one undermining that one, and it is you cannot progress in any true powerful way. Powerful. There has to be a meeting of minds. There has to be support between each other. Because it's as basic as that. A house divided will fall and keep falling. So there has to be a way, I don't know, to call now you'll forgive me if I'm not well up on everything, but if it hasn't been done, to publicly, shall I say, call a meeting between all the nationalist figures, whomever they may be, the leaders, and say, I want to have a meeting on the 16th of June or the 5th of May or whatever. And I want us all to get together as people who love Ireland and love its people, and want the best for the native people of Ireland. And I reiterate, we have a right to exist as a race. I don't think anybody's going to China and saying, "Oh, you don't have a right to exist as Chinese," or going to Arabia, "No, you don't have a right to exist as an Arab," or going to Russia, "Oh, you don't have a right to exist as a Russian." That's discriminatory.
No, big Christian countries.
Right? We have a right to be who we are, and by God, we have fought for that, and we have suffered for that. I mean, I don't know how many invasions we've come through.
Yeah, absolutely.
and then, well, what they call the famine, which was a contrived genocide, because we had the food, we had what was needed, but we weren't allowed to avail of those foods, and they were shipped out to England, and we were left to starve. Then we had Cromwell, and he was determined to annihilate us and annihilate our faith. And I think in 3 years, Cromwell, 40,000 Catholics were killed under Cromwell. 60,000 Irish people altogether, of 40,000 Catholics. He brought in a law that if an Irish person was seen walking through fields in the evening, they were to be killed on sight, because they had no business walking through fields, and they might just have been checking on a couple of sheep or something, but there was a law to kill them on sight, because they might be up to no good. We've suffered an awful lot.
Yeah.
And you know, the hypocrisy of our government that we've had to put up with is celebrating the heroes of 1916, which they've done, and giving speeches, and down to and they actively have gone against everything that the proclamation in 1916 said, and continue to do so. They're trying to annihilate the native Irish people and everything that we are and that we have been.
Yes, identity, not even identity, the people itself.
Yeah.
And you're right, if we put our names forward to represent people and their rights and to get this country back, we should be able to put everything else aside for the mission that we so-called took on.
Yeah.
And
Paul Whelan came up with a wonderful idea.
Yeah. And I backed it. I thought it was a great initiative.
It was a great initiative to have an All-Ireland Council.
My fear in a lot of this is that the government, not just in Ireland, but have created division artists from the get-go. And that when you try and get these things off the ground, then a new wave of lies and defamation come against the person who tries to do it. Which is worrying, because I think there is an answer to that. And I've said this recently on Spaces, on Gavan's X Space, that I said to Claire, and I said, it needs to be called from a third party within nationalism, but not by a leader. Because if a leader calls it, others don't turn up.
I'll call it.
You should call it.
I will.
If you called, let's have an exercise of thought here. If Gentle Poet, who we all know within the community, calls a time and date and location for people who say they're all for the country and say they're all for unity, show up.
Yeah.
And whoever doesn't show up, then we know.
We know.
And whoever can't put aside their grievances for the cause, then step aside and let the people who did show up,
Yeah.
and let's get behind them.
Yeah, let's draw a line.
I think
It's time.
that is the only way it's going to work.
Yeah.
And everyone share it. Everyone ring the bell. Everyone make.
Yeah.
And I'm saying this as a party leader. Make us accountable to show up.
Yeah.
Tag us. Say, Anthony Casey, I'm calling. I'm not going to name individuals because I don't want to get into the controversy of it, but name and tag them. And I think if the nationalist community got behind that, then we'd see where the chips fall.
Yeah.
And if there's questions outstanding, because God knows I got screenshots sent to me 2 nights ago that I'm a Mason and that I'm this, that and the other. God knows people might have questions to ask. Then we're answerable to the nationalist community.
Oh, yes.
Then ask them.
Yeah.
Hand the mic around and say, we want this as an AC.
Yeah.
We want ye to we like this branding, we like these policies, we want you to go on these principles and actually amalgamate. That will put fear through the government.
Yeah. That's the only thing they would be afraid of.
And I think
we actually got together.
That's an initiative worth pursuing.
Yeah. It's time to it is time to make a stand. And it's time to show, broadly speaking, your true colours as nationalists.
Yeah.
You either care more about the country than you do about your own ego, or you're not interested. You just like the headlights. Yeah. So I will.
Yeah.
I'm going to make
We'll put it out. We'll share it, and we'll make sure everyone does too.
Yeah.
Jean, it was lovely talking to you today. And I know me and you could probably sit here for the next 5 hours and talk. And we may have to sit back down again soon, because I think it's great, because these kind of conversation gets to exactly, it narrows down where all this is coming from and the agenda behind it and who's pushing it. And I hope it will reach beyond our nationalist community and expand our nationalist community.
I hope so too. We as I said, knowledge is power, and there's so many people still unfortunately in our country who are living in by no fault of their own, living in ignorance of the true facts, and trusting the government and trusting RTE and all the rest of their gang, who will do everything and anything but give them the truth.
And it's important that we're not against them people, but we're against the institutes that are brainwashing them.
Yes.
That are pushing these ideas non-stop in their head. So that's important, that we're welcoming of anyone who wants to ask questions and open to talk and discuss. That's what we should be. Well, thank you very much, Jean. I've taken up a lot of your time today.
You're welcome. I don't know. It just I don't know what time we're at.
I don't know either. An hour 45.
Never.
Yeah. But I think it's great, and I'm grateful to you for helping me put this back out there, and giving me the time of day to put it out there. I think it's important.
It's a pleasure.
You've always been a great speaker. Everything that you speak on, people stop and they listen, and because you have them words, you know what's going on. You've seen these things from the start, and it's great to not always be the young, coming from the young angry man that they can paint me as so easily. You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm hoping I'll reach people in my age group as well. Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah,
and
we'll hope so.
Yeah. Well, that's great, Jean. Well, thanks very much.
I feel I shouldn't finish on a poem.
I was going to ask you, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
One of my poems now. Where?
Yeah.
Just give me a second. I have so many books. And I actually, genuinely, I thought, Irish Mammy Warrior, she wished me luck, and I sent her, I said, I haven't a clue what I'm going to say. And I didn't have a clue.
Well, I knew it would be no problem to you.
And I said a prayer. I said a sincere prayer before you came, and I said, just give me the words, Lord. So thank you, Lord.
That prayer is the same one I said on the way here, and it's the same one my nana told me to say. And it's the same one I say before speeches. The Holy Spirit will give you the words. Just give me the words.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that is, regardless of what people think of me or you and what we're saying, that is what I find my day and night, my prayer. Show me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
Guide my steps, guide my words. And these conversations, I think, are honouring of, respecting, recognition to our faith and our culture.
Oh, all glory be to God.
Yeah.
Literally. And yeah. So thank you, Jesus.
Yeah. Amen.
Let me.
Yeah, let's see if you can get a poem
Where did
here.
I put my book? Let me see. These are my poems.
Wow. We're getting an insight today to the world of Gentle Poet, huh?
I have more upstairs. What'll we do a poem about? Here we go. Oh, I wrote this in 1986.
Wow.
Now, it's like my glasses.
There.
Are you recording this?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. I suppose this sums up really, my core feelings about my faith. I usually get emotional, and I wrote this in 86, and it still stirs me. When the stars have blazed a final trail to the rim of eternity, when the sun dies to a candle flame, and the moon sinks far 'neath the sea, when the winds have blown 4 different ways, and their song dies away in the night, all heaven and earth may desert me, but he will still be my light. Though no human voice may comfort me with words of solace and love, I, like a child in the darkness, shall reach for his hand up above. When the planets have turned for the final time, and we view immortality, the Lord of my life and the light of my life will guide the way for me. For all things of the earth and the universe can be stilled by the touch of his hand, and the fire of his love is the spirit of me, and will heed to his loving command. And when the stars have blazed a final trail to the rim of eternity, all that I wish is the Lord of my life will stay always and ever with me.
Wow, beautiful. Very nice. 40 years we dust that poem off, huh?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. A lovely place to end on.
Thank you.